Jayam Vishnupan Paramahamsa Bripachakacharya Asta Tarisadishi Shimali Si Bhakti Vedanta Siddhanta Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. So today a new chapter. Chapter 24, the renunciation of Kardama Muni. Ki Jai. There's no purport here in the first verse. Not much in the second. So we'll go on to read a really nice purport. Looks like we may go over to text 4, we'll see. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Maitreya Uvacha Nirveda Varinim Evam Mano Duhitaram Muni Dayalu Shalinim Ata Shukla Abhivyaratam Smaram Maitreya Uvacha Nirvedavadinim Evam Manurduhitaram Muni Dayalu Shalinim Aha Shukla Vivyaritam Smaran Maitreya Uvacha Nirvedavadinim Evam Manuduritaram Muni Dayalu Shalinim Aha Shukla Vivyaritam Smaran Maitreya Uvacha Nirvedavadinim Evam Manuduritaram Muni Dayalu Shalinim Aha Shukla Vivyaritam Smaran Maitreya Uvacha Nirvedavadinim Evam Manoduritaram Muni Dayalu Shalini Maha Shukla Vivyaritam Smaran Maitreya, the great sage Maitreya, Uvacha, said, Nirvedavadinim, who was speaking words full of enunciation. Evam, thus, Mano, of Swayambhuva Manu, Duhitaram, to the doctor, Muni, the sage Kardama, Dayalu, merciful, Shalinim, who was worthy of praise. Aha, replied Shukla, by Lord Vishnu, Avivyaritam. What was said? What was said? Recalling. Smaran. Recalling. Translation by His Divine Grace, Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivajakacharinja Astatara Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Tridandi Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada. Recalling the words of Lord Vishnu, the merciful sage Kardama replied as follows: the Swayambhuva Manu's praiseworthy daughter Devahuti, who was speaking words full of renunciation. Text 2. And Visharvacha Makidaranjaputritam Atmanam Pratnyanindite Bhagavante Chara Garavam Adhurat Samprapapsyate. The sage said, do not be disappointed with yourself, O princess. You are actually praiseworthy. The infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead will certainly appear shortly into your womb as your son. Purport. Kardama Muni encouraged his wife not to worry, thinking herself, unfortunately, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by his incarnation, was going to come from her body. Text 3. Dittavrattasya bhadram te damena niyamena cha tapotavyanadanaischa shraddhaya cheshvaram bhaja. You have undertaken sacred vows. God will bless you. Hence you should worship the Lord with great faith, through sensory control, religious observances, austerities, and gifts of your money and charity. Purport. In order to spiritually advance or to achieve the mercy of the Lord, one must be self-controlled in the following manner. He must be restrained in sense gratification and must follow the rules and regulations of religious principles. Without austerity and penance and without sacrificing one's riches, one cannot achieve the mercy of the Supreme Lord. One cannot achieve, without austerity and penance and without sacrificing one's riches, one cannot achieve the mercy of the Supreme Lord. Kardama Muni advised his wife, you have to factually engage in devotional service with austerity and penance, following the religious principles and giving charity. then the Supreme Lord will be pleased with you and he will come as your son. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jatapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajautam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sataitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Radita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Prachadine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschadya Deshatarine. So, Devahuti was feeling some disappointment, obviously. My Lord had been cheated by the insurmountable illusory energy. So she was feeling disappointed that, well, I was in Maya, I wasn't properly situated in Krishna consciousness. She's lamenting about her fallen position. But she's being informed that, don't worry, the Supreme Lord will appear in your womb as your son. So she's actually a very special personality. Because you've undertaken sacred vows, God will bless you. So this is a great encouragement for all of us who are suffering right now in this material existence, in serving our material senses, Indriya Seva. Instead of serving Krishna, we're serving our material senses, of being carried away by the waves of Maya or illusion, feeling disappointed in that fallen position. But here we have the key, undertaking sacred vows, worship the Lord with great faith, sense control, religious observances, austerities, and gifts, your money, and charity. If we can follow these principles, utilizing everything in Krishna's service, taking out sacred vows of no illicit sex, no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, chanting at least 16 rounds of Japamala every day, taking shelter of the bona fide spiritual master, getting initiated by the bona fide spiritual master. If we can simply take up these sacred vows being given by the great Vaishnava acharyas, advising us what we should do if we follow their guidelines, Mahajano Yena Gatasapanta, that pathway which has been chalked out by the great Mahajanas, the great personalities. That will save us from our lamentable, pitiable condition right now, caught up in material sense gratification, thinking ourselves the center of existence when factually Krishna is the center. You see, this is the difficulty. Krishna is the actual center, but I'm thinking I'm the center. You see, this is the problem. Is it? And we see in relationships also that's a problem. The husband thinks he's the center, the wife thinks he's the center, and there's fight, you see. But if both agree that Krishna is the center, and they always act for the pleasure of Krishna, and there's no fighting, you see. This principle has to be taught all over the world. Or if even, of course, one of them could be Krishna conscious and the other could not be, that's also there. You see? If any person who is not centered on Krishna, they will be a cause of disturbance, you see. And that's the situation of the modern day world. Nobody's centered on Krishna. Everybody's centered on I, me, and mine will make you feel real fine, and it's just, a big mess. All these riots going on, people being killed, it's horrible what's going on. What to speak of the karmic reaction for all of our lust, greed, anger, and anger. This coronavirus is simply a karmic reaction for all of our sinful activities. That's all it is. You see. They're looking for a vaccine to cure the coronavirus, but the actual cure is to give up our sinful activities. Close the slaughterhouses, close the liquor shops, close down all these sinful activities, and engage ourselves in chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Lord Chaitanya is calling to us. You see, Gai Gauranga Pursvari. He's calling us to please chant these names. Why are you suffering like this unnecessarily? Caught up in a miserable condition. Please come out, please chant these names with love. Make your life sublime. You see, chant Hare Krishna and be happy, as Prabhupada used to say. So it's time we become a little intelligent instead of being carried away by our material senses, being lazy, being crazy, serving our tongues, serving our genitals. You see, it's time we get out of this quagmire of sense gratification and come to the actual position, a liberated position, taking shelter of the lotus feet of Guru and Krishna. So it's a very important principle here we're learning in this verse. Prabhupada elaborates on in the purport. To get the mercy of the Lord, one must be restrained in sense gratification. In other words, the senses are screaming to be gratified, and you just ignore it. No, thank you. My dear senses, you want to be gratified? No, I'm not going to gratify you. You can just sit there and suffer if you want, but I'm not going to gratify you. I'm only going to take what is necessary to keep body and soul together. This is the mood of the devotee. See, he doesn't want unnecessarily. The tongue may be agitated, the genitals may be agitated, the false ego may be agitated, but no, you can just remain agitated, and if that's what you want, you stay agitated. But my only business now is to serve Krishna, not Indriya Seva or service of the senses is no longer an option for me. I don't care how much the subtle sense of the false ego, the subtle sense of the genitals, the tongue, the belly, all these things may be screaming at me, but no, nahi, nahi, nahi. Now my only business is to serve Krishna. What is it? So, let's take a look at the next verse. Satvayarandita shuklo vitavan mamakam yasha chettate hridaya grantim adayogram bhavana. Personality of Godhead being worshipped by you will spread my name and fame. You will vanquish the knot of your heart by becoming your son and teaching knowledge of Brahman. Purport. When the personality of Godhead comes to disseminate spiritual knowledge for the benefit of all people, he generally descends as the son of a devotee, being pleased with the devotee's devotional service. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Father of everyone. No one, therefore, is his father. But by his inconceivable energy, he accepts some of the devotees as his parents and descendants. To explain here that spiritual knowledge vanquishes the knot of the heart. Matter and spirit are knotted by false ego. This identification of oneself with matter, which is called Hridaya Granthi, exists for all conditioned souls, and it becomes much more tightened, more and more tightened when there is too much affection for sex life. The example was given by Lord Vrishabhadev to his sons that this material world is an atmosphere of attraction between male and female. That attraction takes the shape of a knot in the heart, and by material affection it becomes more tight. For people who hanker after material possessions, society, friendship, and love, this knot of affection becomes very strong. It is only by Brahma Bhavana, the instruction by which spiritual knowledge is enhanced, that the knot in the heart is cut to pieces. No material weapon is needed to cut this knot, but it requires bona fide spiritual instructions. Kardamuni instructed his wife Devahuti that the Lord would appear as her son and disseminate spiritual knowledge to cut the knot of material identification. So this idea of spiritual knowledge is very important. It's mentioned quite many times in the purport. In the first sentence it said, he comes to disseminate spiritual knowledge. And a little further down in the purport, explain here that spiritual knowledge vanquishes the knot in the heart. And then in the final sentence it says, Kanmuni instructed his wife Devahuti, the Lord would appear as her son and disseminate spiritual knowledge to cut the knot of material identification. So, it's saying spiritual knowledge cuts the knot of material identification. Spiritual knowledge vanquishes the knot in the heart. So here, the knot is mentioned twice. The spiritual knowledge vanquishes or cuts that knot. So what is that knot? Baba explains what that knot is. Matter and spirit are knotted by false ego. This identification of oneself with matter, it's called Hridaya Granthi, the hard knot in the heart. You see, it exists for all conditioned souls. It becomes more and more tightened when there's too much affection for sex life. So this is the knot. You see, this knot of Hridaya Granthi, the hard knot in the heart of desiring material sense gratification. This is the hard knot in the heart. And that knot is cut by spiritual knowledge. That's why these classes are so important. The more we can read these books, the more we can hear this knowledge and put this knowledge into practice. See that hard knot in the heart becomes cut. It's like taking it cuts it. You see, to untie the Hridaya Granthi, it's very difficult. There's some famous story about the Gregorian knot, some knot in medieval Europe that was untieable, but you just take a sword and boom, you can cut through it. You see. So sometimes the knots are too difficult to untie, and you just take some scissors or a knife and finish it. You see. So this knot of material affection is so intricately and so tightly entangled, it's not possible to untie it. It's just not possible. But the sword of spiritual knowledge, it cuts through it. So we have to hear this knowledge more and more and more. Bhāgavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, Sri Upanishad, Krishna book. In this way we have to take more and more spiritual knowledge. The more you hear, the more that knot becomes cut. See, finally it's become totally severed. At the beginning it's only partially cut. But if you keep on hearing spiritual knowledge, that knot is completely, totally severed and then become liberated self. You see, free from the affection for material sex pleasure. Specifically mentioned here. It's attraction between male and female, you see. It's all due to bodily identification. Or we could say bodily misidentification. I'm thinking I'm male, there's a female, or I'm thinking I'm a female and there's a male, you see. This is Hridaya Granthi. Thinking oneself male and female, it's Hridaya Granthi. We have to become free from this false bodily identification, totally fixed in our understanding of the spiritual identity of the self. Hare Krishna, I'm the eternal servant of Krishna. So right now the whole world is suffering due to this Hridaya Granthi, the hard knot in the heart. That's why we need to do massive distribution of Prabhupada's books. The more these books are distributed, the more the hard knot in the heart will be severed. The global society right now is this humongous knot, Hridaya Granthi, binding up the whole material society, individually and collectively, a humongous knot. So we have to cut with Harinam, Sankirtan, Prasadam distribution, book distribution, preaching programs, cultivation programs, and the more we can purify our own selves, the more we become empowered. In other words, the more we are expert in our own chanting, our own hearing, our own practicing Krishna consciousness, that knife, that becomes sharper and sharper and sharper and sharper. The more you have sharpened your own hearing and chanting, the more you've intensified your own hearing and chanting, that gives you more power to cut through the hard knot in the heart, of your own heart and the heart of the materialists as well. there's any questions so far, I can try to answer.
What is hearing mean?
Hearing mean? What does that mean? Yeah. Guru Maharaj is asking. Hearing means the fruit of hearing is to apply what you've heard. If I'm simply hearing and say yes, but I remain in the same position without changing myself, I haven't really heard. Genuine hearing means there's actually a transformation. You hear, well, I'm doing this. You're hearing, well, this is how this should be. This is how this should be done. This is how it should not be done this way. It should be done this way. You see, if you've actually heard, then you'll do it. You won't do it the wrong way. You do it the right way. Just like one may say, well, I'll just chant Hare Krishna, and he hasn't heard about the 10 offenses, and he makes so many offenses. You see. So then, by hearing about what the 10 offenses are and trying to avoid it, then one becomes advanced, more and more in Krishna consciousness. Bhakti Sunil, talking what is heard is also chanting. Yes,
but that's beside chanting.
It's like Bhāgavatam. You see.
Haribo.
But
in that question, his question
is talking also chanting.
Yes. But it is not same as only he has to chant his japa also, not just that is chanting.
Just like when they preach, and that's also, it's like the Bhāgavatam was spoken, that's called chanting. It was spoken, but it's not that you can say, well, I'm just going to preach, I'm not going to chant my japa and just going to go out and preach all day, but no, you can't give up your 16 rounds. That you have to do. At the same time, as I'm preaching right now, this is chanting. Shravanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting. So I'm chanting Krishna Katha by giving this Bhāgavatam class. Any other questions?
That does not count into your japa.
So make sure that we should do our japa very nicely. Try to become, totally absorbed. Go deep into our rounds. Avoid the 10 offenses. Have one nice attitude towards the devotees. Not an offensive attitude towards devotees. And then just take this greatest lesson to dive deep into the nectarian ocean of Krishna. Bhakti-samrita Sindhu, the nectar of the ocean of devotion. Premananda Das, will this not be cut by cultivation of knowledge? Yes, that cultivation of knowledge does so. The more you read these books, it looks like it's not, but you have to apply it also, that's my point. You read it, you put it into action also. See, there's theoretical knowledge and there's realized knowledge. So when you actually put it into practice, then it becomes fully powerful, realized knowledge. Does this fight with the mind continue? Yes, the fight with the mind continues until you become a pure devotee of Krishna. And the mind says, okay, I give up, I surrender. That mind puts up a fight. Why are you engaging me in chanting Hare Krishna? I'd rather sleep, or I'd rather, watch a video. The mind complains. But for a pure devotee, you see, the mind is completely in compliance. But we struggling neophytes, our mind is always quite often at least, putting up some complaint. Why are you doing this? You should go sleep right now. Why are you doing this service? You should be sleeping. Amala Purana. Maharaj Pariksha became perfect just by hearing Srimad Bhāgavatam from Shukadeva Goswami. He did not get time to implement what he all heard in practice. If one is fully accepted it, even if you're not able to apply it, you fully accept it and you apply it as much as you're able to, that's just as good.
Hare Krishna.
Just like Prabhupada says, deliver the world. So, are we doing it? Are we delivering the world right now? No, we're not doing it. It's not happening. The world is not getting delivered. But one accepts the principle and tries one's best to do it as much as possible. Takes every opportunity. That's just as good. Good Maharaji has a complaint. What is your complaint?
Not complaint.
Oh, what is your point?
The point is this, that Maharaj Parikshit put into practice completely. He sat down, he forgot about his eating, his sleeping, bathing, and gave up everything for 7 days. He immediately put into practice, not like us. After hearing many times, we can't even put into practice.
He gave up, he fully absorbed himself in hearing. He gave up eating, sleeping. He sat for 7 days. He didn't take a nap, he didn't fall asleep like we do in the classes. He just sat there in rapt attention. So talk about putting it into practice. He showed the perfection of hearing. Any other questions? Let's go a little deeper into this purport then. Here we go. Chaitanya Das. I tend to forget many points I heard from the lecture as time goes. My mind says, why all this trouble of learning if I'm going to forget it one day? How do I enthusiastically go on hearing? Well, you have to find a way that you can record the lectures. That's one thing, hear them again and again. Or you can take notes. You can find ways to deepen your experience of hearing the lecture. Right? You can take notes. That's one thing. Take notes as you're hearing the lecture. You can write down notes. You go back and review your notes. So you should definitely make an endeavor to get more absorbed. Angala Parameshwari. Hare Krishna Shila Gurdai Vaisagana. Obeisances, how come the incarnation of the Lord enters in the womb of Mother Devhuti? She has already given birth to 9 daughters, but the incarnation of the Lord is transcendental. How can we understand Shila Gurdai? Krishna can appear in any situation. It doesn't matter whether she had 9 daughters before or she didn't have 9 daughters before. Krishna can do anything he wants. He's totally free. He's the supreme controller. He can do anything he wants.
Even Krishna's own pastimes also. Krishna appeared after 7 children to Devaki. So what is the difficulty there?
Yeah, Krishna can do anything. Not there any rules and regulations that he has to be the first one to come. That nobody can come to that one before him. No. He can come in any way that he chooses to come. Anything else? Premananda. Does the Lord take birth as anyone's son according to the desire of the devotee? Well, the devotee may desire to have Krishna as his son, but does he deserve it also? It's according to the Lord's desire. I mean, so many devotees may desire to have the Lord come as their son, but Krishna is not obliged. Come according to our desire. He comes according to his desire. Lakshman Das. How to not be affected by the externals and favorable circumstances that performs a devotional service. Well, the mind is one of the biggest problems. The real problem is the mind. You see, the external, we think it's, I'm having difficulty because this devotee is not giving me nice association, or because of coronavirus or whatever. We want to blame it on external situations. Prabhupada says your anxiety is not due to the external situation, it is due to your lack of Krishna consciousness. So you are being affected, or we are being affected by the externals because of our lacking Krishna consciousness. We're not going deep enough in our holy names, we're not serious enough about being Krishna's pure devotees. It's really it's simply our own lack of Krishna consciousness. Therefore you have to intensely beg Krishna for pure devotional service. By your japa, by your whole mood. You should always be 24/7 in the mood of begging Krishna, please, my dear Lord, please make me your pure devotee. So you have that intensity of desire. And if you do that, the externals won't bother you. You'll actually see Krishna has arranged the externals perfectly to facilitate my taking complete total surrender of him right now. That's the actual situation. You see. When you're properly situated, the externals, you will see how this is the externals of Krishna's perfect arrangement to facilitate my surrender to him. Bhakta Ravi Koluru. How do we make someone interested to read Srila Prabhupada's books and hear lectures to those who have attention deficit, especially those these days when they cannot focus even more than a few minutes? Well, the attraction to Krishna consciousness, attraction to hearing transcendental knowledge is a contagious disease. The more you're attracted, the more those who associate with you will become attracted. See? You can't make anybody be interested. But if you yourself become more and more and more interested, generally eager, by your association, others will pick up your mood, your mentality. So you have to get yourself more and more interested to hear and read. And then you can naturally influence others. You become the example. You become the example of what you want them to do. That's the point. Bhakti Dirash, how does Adarya differ from Madhurya? In other words, Mayapur versus Vrindavan. Mayapur is, one difference is Vrindavan is more in developing the internal awakening, and Mayapur focuses on distributing. But both of them are doing those things. But there's a Krishna and Vrindavan Leela is Krishna enjoying with his intimate devotees. Krishna in Mayapur is flooding the world with Krishna consciousness. You see. So there's Bahir Nisinga, Hridaye Nisinga, Nishinga within, Nishinga without. Vrindavan tends to be more Nishinga within, and Mayapur Nishinga without, spreading Krishna consciousness. That's the difference, within and without. But it's not that the more you become developed within, you're naturally going to spread it. And the more you spread it, the more you'll have an awakening within. So it's not just black and white. There's shades of gray there. Okay. Lakshman Das, I'm taking time even after so many beatings of Maya. Please pray for me. Krishna, please bless this devotee Lakshman Das for the awakening of pure love of God within his heart. Bhakta Ravi Koluru, I'm doing it, but I have to do more. Thank you very much. Yeah, you to become. I mean, it's just like every night when I'm dressing the deities in the night clothes, I'm hearing Prabhupada's Nectar Devotion series lectures. It's so wonderful. If you all have time, it's in Austin, Texas. It's about, I don't know what time it is in India, 7:30 in the evening here. It's so sublime. The more you can, of course, you can also get them the whole MP3. You can get a little MP3 stick with all the lectures on it, all the lectures, all the conversations, everything. A little MP3 stick. stick it in your computer and download it, and you have everything in your computer. You can transfer it to your smartphone, and just by you can be hearing Prabhupada as much as you can. The more you hear Prabhupada's lectures, the more you become attracted to Krishna. Prabhupada is so powerful. He has total, complete love for Krishna. So the more you hear from Prabhupada, the more your dormant love of Krishna becomes awakened. Got 7 minutes left. Let's look at the purport again. If there's any more questions, we'll see. Okay. All conditioned souls have this hard knot in the heart. That's what it means to be conditioned, you see. Everybody here, everywhere in this material existence because we have this knot of a heart. Everybody here we're prisoners here, you see. In Sri Gantri, it's like the inmates, criminal, they put him in handcuffs, you see. So we're handcuffed by this false identification of the material body, and this focus on the tongue and the genitals, you see, because of misidentifying with these material bodies. That's our handcuffs, or the hard knot. See? So we're all like prisoners. Just like in the very hard class prisoners, they put a chain on them, a big ball and chain, so they can't move anywhere. They're chained to some huge iron ball that can't be moved, you see. So we're entangled and chained by this lust, anger, greed, madness, illusion, envy. This material existence is very much of a hellish nightmare. Because we're not in tune with Krishna, actually not. Like in the U.S. right now, almost every state, only 2 states is going down. Every other state is getting increased. The whole country, in other words, out of 50 states, 48 of them have an increase in the coronavirus right now. It's increasing. And who knows when it's going to end. It reminds me of the time of year of the bubonic plague. So many people were killed during the bubonic plague. I don't know the number. But this situation is becoming absolutely out of hand. And it's simply due to this hard knot in the heart. Because we have the hard knot in the heart, misidentifying the material body, taking sex pleasure to be all in all of existence, tongue pleasure to be all in all of existence. We're committing so many sinful activities, and now it's bouncing back in front of the coronavirus. But as I've been repeatedly saying, this is a good opportunity for preaching now. Especially internet. The internet is becoming much bigger than it ever was in the past. Much more popular now because people are afraid to go out, so they go on the internet. So the more we can broadcast things on the internet and find ways to attract the people, that's very good. It's a very good opportunity for preaching now, the internet. It's like we're doing now. Why only, let's see, what's our number, how many? See why we only have, let's see how many we got. We only have 57 people. We should have 57 million people, you see. Why only 57? We should have 57 million people here on this class. We need to find a way to get more and more people attracted. More and more people. It's very important to take advantage of this. Okay, let's see here. Hare Krishna Shila Gurde Bhakti Shivani Deva Madhuri has to take austerity that has already decided the Lord will come as her son. Well, the Lord knew she was going to do the austerities. Sundar Gopal, at first, huh?
What was your question?
Why Devahudi had to do austerities? It was already decided Krishna would come as her son. You understand the question?
Even if you know, one has to perform austerity to purify oneself, because devotee was not ready yet. So that's why Kardama is not some blind follower. Kardama knows what to guide her. You gonna tell her that?
You heard it. She heard it. You said it. You said it. She heard it.
No, she can't hear.
She can't hear. Too far away.
Yeah.
She did the austerity to qualify herself for having the Lord come.
So she still has some desire for sense gratification.
She still has some desire for sense gratification. Okay, here we go. No more questions now, our time is almost up. Sundar Gopal, at first place, can a conditioned soul realize there is a hard knot of Hridayanti? By hearing from the bona fide spiritual master, by hearing from the scriptures, one can learn. You have a hard knot in your heart. You have to hear from the scriptures or from the bona fide preacher of Krishna consciousness, and then you can know. If you hear faithfully from a bona fide preacher of Krishna consciousness or from the scriptures, then you can know. Conditioned soul can know if they are willing to hear faithfully. And at one point, a conditioned soul actually realizes a hard knot. When they agree to hear submissively, that's when they can find out. If they can't hear submissively, they won't accept it. We can hear Guru Mata clearly, they're saying. They hear your voice clearly. It's not an issue. Not an issue. Amala Pran is said, that's very good. Guru Mata can speak when she must add some points, and everyone can hear nicely. That's very good. Okay, we got 1 minute left. Anything else? There's nothing else. We can end a little early. 30 seconds early. So this is a great opportunity now to awaken our Krishna consciousness and cut that hard knot in the heart by hearing these lectures, by giving these lectures also, whether you're hearing or chanting, both acts of cutting the knot. Your japa is cutting the knot, your preaching, your hearing, your reading, your distributing. This cuts the knot, hard knot in the heart. So everybody should become very determined now. I have this hard knot, which has kept me in the cycle of birth and death, going through the 8,400,000 species again and again and again for millions and billions of lifetimes. Now it's time to take the sword of knowledge and cut through this hard knot, so I won't take birth again in this nonsense place, material existence. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Kamtarad Srimad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Gora Premanandi.
Goodbye.